Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bari'il khalaiqi ajma'een. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أما بعد فأوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله فإنه حبل متين وغروة وثقى. صلوات. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all, I advise myself for taqwa, parhezgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. Last week, we have been discussing about this issue that while it is very clear by the historical records that this tragedy of Karbala was directly it took place under the direct directions or directives of Yazid and even under the directives of his father Muawiyah. Muawiyah had left a wasiyat for Yazid, and he had given him insight that I have done my job and I have brought the majority of the Muslim Ummah to the point where they will have no problem in accepting you as Khalifa, except these handful people who all live in Medina. And they will have some issues with you. And then he wrote a note about all these 4 and 5 individuals and mentioned about their strengths and weaknesses, and he told him that ultimately even these handful people will compromise when you will scare them or when you will bribe them, except one individual, and that one individual is Hussein ibn Ali. This was a handwritten note of Muawiyah for Yazid. And then he says that this Abdullah bin Umar, Abdullah bin Zubair, Abdul Rahman bin Abi Bakr or Abdullah bin Abbas, yes, they won't accept you easily, but there is a way that you can deal with them. But Hussein ibn Ali is not someone that who will be able to tolerate it, or you won't be able to scare him and you won't be able to bribe him. And then he alluded that how you have to deal with him. So first of all, it is something that it's not only that Yazid is responsible, even his father Muawiyah is responsible. for this entire tragedy. And then about Yazid, there is no doubt about it. But as we discussed last time, a number of Muslim scholars or different fractions of Muslim Ummah tried their best to bring some defense on part of Yazid. Just very weak defense, but they try to make that defense. The reason why they are defending Yazid, I mentioned one reason last time, that they know that if Yazid got, for example, if Yazid got the responsibility, and then this issue won't stop here with Yazid. The blame will go to his father, and then blame will go to those seniors, the first and second and third caliphs, that why did they keep Muawiyah in this position, a man of this background. So they want to basically, they are more concerned about the first, those 2 or 3 Khalifas, then Muawiyah or Yazid. But Muawiyah and Yazid are only their first kind of defense line. They want to stop the blame just here before it reaches to the more the area which is more sensitive for them. So that was one of the things, one reason. The second reason is that normally the Muslim scholars and Muslim historians, I mean the Ahlul Sunnah scholars and historians, they try to paint a picture of Muslim history that as it was a very great history. They write kind of a novel when it comes to the history, and in order to project Muslim Ummah as a great Ummah and try to give the impression that we had a golden history and we were great people from the very beginning. So they feel that if they confess this ugly part of the Muslim history, and this is not the only one ugly spot, in my view, the most of the Muslim history is ugly. Most of the Islamic history is the ugly, and it is kind of shameful history. And we shouldn't kind of put it under rug, that because it is shameful, because it is ugly, so we have to put it under rug. This is not the history of Islam. This is the history of Muslims. And Islam and Muslims are 2 different entities. Meaning there is no blame on Islam. If Muslims didn't abide with Islam, and if they didn't follow Islam, and if they didn't follow the proper leadership, so blame is upon those Muslims. The blame is not on Islam. So they try to kind of create, particularly when it comes to companions also, they say, no, don't talk bad about companions because the blame will go to the Prophet. That how did Prophet raise his friends? How he was able to impact? And if we will talk bad about companions, it will show that our Prophet was not a good leader. Our Prophet was not a good teacher. Our Prophet was not a good influencer. And so the blame goes to the Prophet. So in order to save the Prophet, you have to, defend all these people and all what they did. Well, we have spoken about it, we have written about it, scholars have gone in depth and length of this issue, that if you look at the history of Anbiya, from Adam till Khatam, it has always happened. Why don't you defend about the companions and the nations of the previous prophets to defend those prophets? If it comes about Bani Israel, you are never tired of talking ill and bad about Bani Israel. You are never tired of finding faults with the followers of Prophet Isa and Musa and Ibrahim and Dawood and Yaqub and Yusuf and Nuh and all those prophets. And very generously you write in your history that Prophet died and these people turned away and they abandoned the work of Prophet, the legacy of Prophet, the teachings of Prophet, and that's why actually God had to send a new prophet to bring them back to the track. So if it had happened thousands of times in history with the previous prophets and with their nations, and there was no blame on any of those prophets, then if it happens with the companions and the followers of Prophet Muhammad, then how come the blame goes to Muhammad? The blame doesn't go to the Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad did his job. And finally he left his wasiyat and his legacy and his teachings, and then it is up to people whether they follow or they don't follow. And Prophet in his own life had predicted such things, and he spoke to his companions and to his wives that what will happen when he won't be around, and one of his wives, for example, will be doing such and such, and his companions will be doing such and such, and his ummah will be doing such, and all these things are on the record. So Prophet knew these things, and Prophet had predicted, and Prophet had spoken about these things, and these things are part of your own books. So that is second point, that since they paint a very beautiful picture of the Muslim history, they feel that if they will talk about these ugly kind of incidents and these bad experiences and all this bloodshed and all this kind of thing, the Islamic history and Islam as a religion and Muslims as a nation won't look very impressive, or they won't look great. And it is disservice. Yes, these are bad things, but we should not just forget, put under the rug and move on, and create a cosmetic kind of surgery and try to make Muslim Ummah as a good community and the Muslim history as an excellent history. This was the second reason. The third reason, and I will come to that little later, when it comes to the tragedy of Karbala and martyring Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam in Karbala, they try to defend him and they try to come up with those lame excuses which we discussed in our last two khutbas, and we proved that those excuses are very lame and unfounded, and you cannot really come here and defend Yazid, because first of all, as per our understanding, he was the one that who was not satisfied with the previous governor of Kufa, the way he was dealing with Muslim bin Aqil, and he fires him, and then he appoints a new governor of Kufa who was the butcher of his time, Ibn Ziyad, for same reason, to come and get rid of Muslim bin Aqil and this whole movement. So Yazid was part of it, number one. Even if we agree with you, Sayyid Maududi, one of known Ahlul Sunnah scholars and writers, in his book Khilafatul Mulukiyat, when he talks about this, so he says that even if I agree with you that Yazid had nothing to do with it and it was beyond him and without his knowledge, then tell me, then when he came to know about it, what did he do? You are so angry about the killing of Usman bin Affan and created so much big fitna in the time of Imam Ali, and you said you have to catch the killers of Usman and you have to bring them to the justice and do this and do this and do this, and then we will do your bayat. No, why do you have double standards? Why do you have double standards? No, Hussein is killed, Hussein is martyred, and Yazid knows who did it. What did Yazid do? Did he bring those people to justice? Did he punish them? Didn't even he criticize them openly? Did he bring them to the justice? Any qasas? Did he fire Ibn Ziyad from the position of governor or anything? None of those things. So he was part of it. He approved it. Only he made some political statements when he felt that people are not accepting it, people are not liking it. So he made up a few statements. You know, if I was there, I wouldn't do it, and I wish Ibn Ziyad wouldn't do this and wouldn't do this and wouldn't do that. A political statement, but that is not enough. When all this tragedy had taken place in Karbala. So that's one thing. No, it's not only this much. The story of Karbala is still alive because the family of Hussein and followers of Hussein kept it alive from the day of Ashura until today. Generation after generation, generation after generation, they made sure that nobody forgets Ashura and everybody remembers it. So, family started, followers took over, and then Alhamdulillah, we are proud to be with Imam Hussein and in the camp of Imam Hussein. And we, as I said the other day, yes, Karbala has two sides, two pictures, a very beautiful side, very beautiful picture, and very bad and very ugly picture. But our side of story, our side of picture is Nurani, is beautiful, is impressive. We are proud to be with Hussein and in the camp of Hussein, and to be the followers of Hussein, and to be the Zakir of Hussein, to be Azadar of Hussein, and to be the Matamis of Hussein. And we are not ashamed. We are proud that Hussein is our Imam and we are his followers. But then your side of story is ugly. That's why you are ashamed to talk about Karbala. Your side of story is bad. That's why you want to bury it in the sand of Karbala and you don't want to talk about it. Your side of story is ugly. You know that if you will narrate about it, you will be condemning your own leaders and your own ancestors. So, Karbala is alive because of this. But Yazid didn't commit only one tragedy in Karbala only. Altogether, he remained in government for 4 years, approximately 4 years. In 4 years, this man created 3 tragedies. 3 tragedies. All those three tragedies are written in the books. Every book of history, every scholar has written it in their books. But about one tragedy, since we talk about it, everybody knows. The other 2 tragedies, we don't talk much about that. And the other community, the Sunni community, of course, they are not going to talk about it. They are quiet because it is ugly. Nobody knows about it. What are those two other tragedies? After this incident of Karbala, when the family of Imam Hussein arrives back to Medina, and overall different news come to Medina that Yazid did this and Yazid did that, and Yazid is not a good man and he is a bad man and this and that. So you can understand again the environment of Medina. People heard about what happened in Karbala, but since they in last 30, 40, 50 years they had got used to with bloodsheds and with killing of, meaning the leaders of Muslim community, and even getting away by martyring Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib and Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam. That maybe it was not something unexpected or too much for them. But these people of Medina, when they heard Yazid doesn't pray, he is not a good worshipper, Yazid doesn't abide with the halal and haram, Yazid drinks alcohol, Yazid indulges into some other activities which are sinful. So to people of Medina, it seems those things were more serious than killing of Imam Hussain, the grandson of Prophet. That was, they could still take it. But Yazid doesn't pray, Yazid doesn't care about halal and haram, Yazid does some of these other these sinful activities. These were the things which people of Medina couldn't take. So they sent a delegation to go and investigate. This delegation came in Syria. They spent some time in Sham, and according to some narrations, these people were even bribed by the government of Yazid that when they go back, they gave a good story and they gave a good report. But when they came back, they told the truth to the community in Medina, and they said, Yazid is a terrible man. He is fasiq, he is very sinful, doesn't really care about halal and haram, and he does this and he does this and he does this, all those kind of things. And they said that during all that time when we were in Medina, in Sham, we were afraid that at any day, any night, the adhab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come down and will destroy this whole Sham, and we will also get here destroyed. So they came back, they narrated the story, and finally what happens, the people of Medina now decided to break their bay'ah with Yazid. They removed the governor of Yazid from Medina, and they said, get out from Medina, you are not our governor anymore, we don't do bay'at to Yazid anymore, and we don't approve his character, and he is not a fit, he is not a man that who fits for this position of Khalifatul Muslimin. And this is the position what people of Medina took. It was almost, meaning 2 years after the tragedy of Karbala. It took them, meaning the tragedy of Karbala took place in Muharram 61, and they broke their bay'at with Yazid in 63. In 63. So I do understand there are distances involved, but they had got all the information within a few months, if not within few weeks. But they broke their bay'at with Yazid in 63. When they broke the bay'at with Yazid, now Yazid sends an army to go and teach them lesson. So the army of Yazid comes, first they surround, and then they enter in Medina, and their mandate was to go and conquer the Medina kill as many as you can, and when you take the control of Medina, so I make the Medina, the people of Medina, the properties of Medina, and whatever is halal on you for 3 days. For 3 days, you can commit any crime, you can kill any individual, you can rob anyone, you can rape anyone, and you can do whatever you want to do for 3 days, and it is legitimate for you, it is permissible for you. It's written in all histories of Muslims, all those major resources, that for 3 days Masjidun Nabi was abandoned. People, no one could come to call azan or to pray in Masjidun Nabi. Even some of these animals, they entered in masjid, dogs and cats and those animals, because there was no one in the masjid anymore. They say at least about 1,000 women was raped who couldn't escape the city. So many people got killed, and for 3 days they were dealt as a conqueror army comes and deals brutally with those that who are conquered. After 3 days, now they were offered that if they want to repent and make tawbah and do the bay'at of Yazid again as slaves of Yazid. Now, history is repeating. There was a time when the people of Makkah, these Banu Umayyah were, meaning got captured, and then they are called Tolaka. Now he is making them people of Medina as Tolaka. He said, first you have to know, do bay'at of Yazid, that you are in the slavery of Yazid, become his slaves, and then he will free you, and then you will be Tolaka. So this treatment of Medina and the people of Medina and the Haram of Rasulullah, and there are tons of riwayat and ahadith against anyone that who goes and threatens or scares the people of Medina or does anything of that nature. It is totally un-Islamic behavior. You are not supposed to treat your enemies, even non-Muslims, like that. And he treats people of Medina like that. So this tragedy is second tragedy. They know about it, but they are not going to talk about it. In their books, it is written, but they are not going to talk because it is ugly. It doesn't give a good impression of Muslim history or Muslim community or Muslim nation. Then, after conquering this, you know that Abdullah bin Zubair had also left at the same time this Medina when Imam Hussain had left, and both were in Makkah. Both, and then Imam Hussain left Makkah for Iraq, but Abdullah bin Zubair stayed in Makkah, thinking that Makkah is a safe place, and he will remain safe if he remains in Makkah. So Abdullah bin Zubair remained in Makkah and got some following and declared that he is the Caliph himself, and this Makkah and surroundings are his part of the government. Now the army, after conquering Medina, got the new command from Yazid that now you need to go to Makkah and teach the lesson to Abdullah bin Zubair. So the safe city, that Al-Baladul Amin, that haram of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now first surrounded, then attacked by so many things. They were throwing big rocks and then fire on the Masjidul Haram to hurt Abdullah bin Zubair, and actually it hurt the house of Allah, the Masjidul Haram, the Ka'batullah. And again a tragedy is taking place, that a Muslim government, so-called Muslim government, so-called Muslim Caliph and his army is attacking the house of Allah. They are so desperate to go and fight Abdullah bin Zubair, who is just limited in the Makkah. This is a third tragedy. It took place actually about 3rd of Rabiul Awwal and 64 year of Hijrah. And after this tragedy, it took place on 3rd of Rabiul Awwal, and we don't know how much else he would do. But then within about 10 days, Yazid himself passed away and he entered in Jahannam on 14th of Rabiul Awwal, 10 or 11 days after this tragedy of Makkah. So a man who remains in power only for 4 years and commits 3 tragedies, one after another. Karbala is 1, Medina is 2, and Makkah and Kaaba is 3. How can you defend this man? How much defense you are going to bring for him to just save his father and those who had appointed his father in Syria? So that's an ugly side of the story. I thought that these are some facts you should know, and make sure that your children know. We need to know these things, because there is an effort in these days going on the social media to come up with the defense for Yazid and people of Yazid. Recite the salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. اللهم صل على محمد صل على أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آبائه الكرام ما اتصل الليالي والأيام. أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى توبوا إلى الله توبة نصوحا عسى ربكم أن يكفر عن سيئاتكم ويدخلكم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار. وقال الله تبارك وتعالى أيضا إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.